event over by Chino, and we have uncontrolled airspace this way, so they've been going B-17s,
cool.
B-25s and stuff, and then and it's a temperature I think we have some of the doors open, so if there's like a rumbling, then
Nice.
it's
not
yeah,
an
so
earthquake.
exactly, it's not an earthquake. So yeah, not this time. So yeah, it can be an earthquake, but we haven't had any lately. So yeah, well, lately like a month or 2 months or something like that. We had
that's
one stream, was like a couple of months ago. There was one rumble in here.
I saw you had 3 players today, or was there someone that wasn't?
Yeah. Linda couldn't make it today. She had family issues. So yeah.
Cool. I was doing 100 things around the house, and I heard Katarina's name come up.
Yeah, they're now moving into politics. Yeah,
Oh.
they're moving up in the world. They're now 6th level and starting to become involved in power politics. They were just the local little newbies in town to begin with, and now they got themselves tangled up in all sorts of stuff. So, yep.
That's always a fun one. It's like, people know who you are now.
Yeah.
Yes, so.
Yep. And they're not used to, even powerful people want to now be their friends, so to speak. So they're up and coming. They're starting to be the new stars. Yep.
That's always a good thing.
Yep. Not always. I'm going to use that to their disadvantage
Notoriety,
too.
positive or negative.
Exactly. Yep. Wait until they meet the disgruntled Darman or Zilchus priests and all sorts of characters who wants to cash in on their fame. Yeah. Fortune. Yeah.
Well, could be worse. It could be dead.
Yeah. Well, we had so much combat heavy, so now they are out of the harm's way for a bit. So there's some sessions that focus on a completely different aspect of adventuring than going out killing orcs and stuff.
Always a good thing.
Yep. So the most important bit today was the menu. And it was so funny because we always...
The menu?
The menu, yeah, there was with dinners. We had a 3-course dinner and stuff. So the funny virtue, we all got hungry. So everybody was like going around. So I'd say next time, bring snacks to...
Oh my gosh,
so
that's
we could and snack while we're gaming. So when we talk about food, you can put in yummy stuff in your mouth. Because people were like, we're talking about food, and everybody was like, I'm getting hungry. And it was like, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I had a protein bar, so I had to grab it and eat it while we had our game. So it was funny.
Man, I don't know where they find these DoorDash people.
Uh-oh.
I literally put in my instructions in capital letters
Can you
side
hear
door.
me out there? I'm sorry, I'm just making sure that they can hear me in chat. Can you hear me?
Probably, Robert, where they work for the least amount of money. That's the...
Yeah, but you know, but I mean, here's the thing. Not only did they not put it at the side door, they put it in the front door, and they put it in front of the screen door. So I'd literally have to go out the side door in the rain, up the stairs, get it to bring it back down because I couldn't open the front door if I wanted to right now. So with that, I will be right back.
No problem. Yes, don't believe a word I say tonight. How's that sound? Because it's just, I am not the be-all, end-all on this topic, but I will do my best. Yes. But we're going to have a panel that will give advice and bring up some neat ideas and for existing and new DMs, which is always a good thing. One thing I always hear is there's not enough DMs out there.
Yep. And there's been a lot of discussion around that, at least around 5e and not having enough DMs. But I have some theories about that we can talk about.
Absolutely.
Bring up later on. So yep.
I love theoretical discussion, which is great. You know, I think that's a great way to go.
I'm not sure I'm right, but I have some ideas that can be good for people to start thinking, because I want some input on, see if anyone else thinks I'm right or not. Yeah.
Well, I'm never right. Just ask my wife. So.
Yeah, at home here, I just assume I'm right.
Yes, you assume you're right. Yes, I can't make that assumption. Yeah. So. Hey, Amy. Good to see you. Yeah.
I need to log into chat here too. Yeah, and thank you, Amy, for today. It was awesome to.
Well, that's great to hear.
Have you in the game.
First
Yep.
time in 35 years there, Jeff.
Lord
That's
Gates.
awesome.
Join the fray.
DM, so.
Oh, that is great! Congratulations,
great,
and wonderful to get that you take that step. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, good news. There is good news for tonight. You know, bad news is I can't have Ed Greenwood and Jim Ward and and Jeff Grubb on every week. But the good news is that we have one of the Best of Dragon Volume 3s last week. One of the winners said, "Oh, I already have one. Give it away again." So we got another. We got a Best of Dragon Volume 3. Plus we got Will's stuff. Yeah, which
I'll put in for a Best of Dragon Volume 3.
Sure, man.
I don't think I have one of those. Is that the gold one? That's not
Yeah, yeah, it's the best one
then I
too.
I got that.
You got the bronze / gold colored one.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, that's the best one.
Which one's the one with the red dragon? There's a green, red.
No, that's the one with the red dragon on the cover.
Just the head.
That's
head.
3. That's 3.
Not it's not gold. It's like dark. It's like black, and it's got like the profile.
Well, I'll show you I'll show you the one I have. So.
If it's the one with all of the racial write-ups.
Yeah, that's it.
I got that one.
Yeah, we're gonna have 4 giveaways tonight at least, because we're gonna have 2 PDFs of Will's New Adventure and 1 hard copy of Ravensrock too. So we're gonna have some good stuff. All right, that's enough of this bad. I get yes. Everyone...
Hi, Rob. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hello, no problem. We're getting right into the discussion here,
Yes,
so,
and we're waiting on. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we got Mr. Ever Mysterious showing up. Because he's mysterious.
Yeah.
I don't know. The last 2 times, I'm starting to think he's got something wrong with me. He's got a problem with me. Because the last 2 times I was on, he was supposed to be on, he didn't show up.
Yeah, something wrong with Tim?
Okay,
no.
yeah, all right.
No, there's nothing wrong with Tim. Come on.
What was I?
What were you thinking? Yes, you never had to, you never went through the toenail clipping collection, any of that, so, yes.
No, thank goodness.
Yes. Those were the days.
Yeah, I've only known Melon.
Yeah, Tim is too busy playing with his real weapons. Ah. Starting up this thing here. Let me go to start the giveaway up too. And thanks, Troy. Thanks for redonating this back. The funniest thing, one of the funniest little weird quirks that happened was in the game Saturday morning was we're playing along and then Will comes on and I forget who said it. I think Tempa said it. Oh, how appropriate. The guy's name's Giant Stomp.
Yeah, it was right when the verbiage I was like, yeah, I typed into chat. I was like, yeah, one of my verbiage friends told me to come get on so I can watch it.
Yeah. They are very big. They are. I said that like 4 times. But then again, we're some very new players.
Those are the best. I love new players.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
great.
you should always have a new player. That's one of the
Always?
advice. Always have at least a new player in every campaign, because they bring in new fresh, and things are like, ooh, you can ooh and awe them and stuff. If you only have us that played too long, we would not get oohed and awed for anything. So yeah.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Until DM's crushing fist comes.
Yeah.
Ooh, just kidding.
We will be like, nah, we've seen that before. But yeah.
We call that.
That's true. I'm on mute.
Oh, is that what it is? You've been talking this whole time?
I'm
Sorry.
like, God damn it.
we're not really that rude, Rob.
I was like, so, brand new, what do you call it? Same old jokes, brand new audience.
There you go.
But Verbeeg and Morians and Cyclops, oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the.
I hear that there, Garner. I also heard that you passed out during the game yesterday. By the way, you won one of the Titan dice sets, and what I'm doing is, it's already packed. I'm sending your daughter the black set that she wanted, and she's giving you the green set that she won earlier. Just so you know, she's doing a color swap. So make sure you get your Titan dice. All right, tonight, fun and exciting. This is going to be, we'll talk about this live. Someone very unique. This is a first time, I think, someone. Wait a minute. All right, come live. Let's go. We're going live a few minutes early. You guys won't punish us, right?
Try not to.
Bonus Gabbin. What's
if I don't keep on hitting the wrong freaking buttons, oh my God. Jeez. Good evening, everyone.
It's been a long weekend, Jay. What do you want?
Oh, it has been. I'm Jay Kaylor Gazumba, number 246. Is it 246 or 247? I put up, 246. I think I put in the ads 247. Lots of them. So tonight we're gonna go into a theoretical discussion tonight and an assistance discussion. I think it'll be cool. With me is, of course, as always, is Anna Meyer, and then our guests tonight we got Robert K. I don't even want to pronounce that last name.
Don't even worry.
Phantom NJ, and then William Henry Dvorak is back with Mr. Giant Stomp. So giveaway wise, welcome, gents, and thank you for coming on. Giveaway wise,
Pleasure to be here, Jay.
It's going to be a fun discussion. I really think so. Here it is. There it is. Best Dragon Volume 3. All right. Hard copy of Raven's Rook. 2 PDFs. Okay, it should have gone. I'll do it this way. I'll do it press the wrong button way. 2 PDFs of Echoes of a Dark Past, brand new, available on DriveThruRPG. Correct, Will?
Yes.
That and Raven's Rook is available on DriveThruRPG as well if you don't win it. So there you go. And
I'll put the. I was just answering to the Scottish Jeff because he complimented. He was saying that those ones suck, but the Mermaid's Blessing is the one that you need.
Mermaid's Blessing. Mermaid's Blessing is good. Yeah, I have that one too.
I'll put the link in for you. Thank you, Jeff, by the way. I appreciate that.
Are the pages of no stuck together? Look at this. A nice, clean, crisp copy, man. Little Mars on the back, but who cares? Yep. Not stuck together. I don't give you guys crap, man. It's nice. It's a nice copy. And that'll finish us up for going over 10,000. And we're still over 10,000. Hopefully I don't curse myself. With
but like 100, aren't you? Isn't it? It's like substantial now.
It's like 30, 10,030, or something like
that.
For
some reason I thought the
goals.
There's another one. Thank you for the follow, Smokey Toe Brown. Cool name. So it's a great copy, and we got some really nice stuff. So Thursday night, I don't even have a topic yet. I know I have this game Saturday morning, and I got to change out all the terrain from Thursday to Saturday because it's a morning game. I don't know where I'm going to do it. I'm working all day Friday, and then I'm like, I say, guys, I don't have a topic yet for Sunday. And Tom goes, how about DMing for dummies? Because, like, I don't DM. Maybe I want to hear some tricks and stuff like that. Like, that's a good idea. And then we talked about it Saturday after our game. I said, isn't that insulting the title? And everyone in the group said it wasn't. Right, Rob?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it's been a thing for a long time. For Dummies series, there's a reason why they sell so many of those books for everything and anything. And now I don't think anyone buying them is being insulted by it. So
that's true. I have a couple. So yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't insulted, but but I can't really say English is not my native language, so I might not be the right audience to ask.
Thanks, Michael. And then, cool, man. I saw you post some things. I'll take a look at it when I get an opportunity. It's always great. Always great to see you. So, Will, what are your thoughts there on the? Did I PC that enough, or is it not PC?
I thought you were referring to us. As the DMs being dummies.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just kidding.
How to DM, brought to you by the Dummies.
By the Dummies, yeah. Or how to run like a dummy. No, I don't think. I think it's, like Rob was saying, it's synonymous. That series has been around for a long time. So basically, people equate it for what it is: clean, simple advice. Yeah. As opposed to getting overcomplicated in the description and then just getting lost in the weeds when people, So, yeah. So, yeah, you did a good job.
So what we're going to do, just like a DM's roundtable, we're going to just introduce ourselves and then say how many years experience we have and what we DM. Okay? How's that sound? Sound good? Rob, start us off and we'll go clockwise. Thank you. We got a hype train going.
Oh, so, I mean, I've been DMing for, over 40 years now. Just because for a long time I was the only one who wanted to or would. If I didn't DM, there wasn't a game. I've DM'd basically every edition of D&D other than 3. I missed that entire era for real life reasons. Everything from even 4. I DM'd and then Castles and Crusades and a whole bunch of other TTRPGs, running games of different types. So yeah, no, I've been all over the place with that.
Awesome. Well, Rob, thanks for coming on for this discussion. It's going to be, it's really appreciated. I think we'll help out some people. I'm going to give you some of my little, I know we did a tricks one, but I'm going to give you some basics as well. I think all 4 of us, and we think Tim's coming on too at some point. I'm going to try and message him just to make sure. But thanks for that, Rob. Anna, how about you?
I looked in the calendar and I realized I DM'd for exactly 40 years now. Wow. Nice. Yeah, I started 83 with when I bought the Greyhawk box set. That's when I started DMing for real, so to speak. And I've been DMing that. Then we played first edition AD&D, and I've been DMing every edition of D&D and a lot of Pathfinder for 10 years since. I've done a few little things here and there, another like Top Secret, a little bit Traveler, a little bit and stuff back in the day, but D&D has gone back to it. And for many years, a couple of decades, I was DMing 10 times more than I was playing. So I rarely played, but DMing was the normal way I interacted with the game. And for me, it's a very different experience to run the game from playing. So I was now after I moved to California, I've started to play more than I DM. And that's the first for me ever in my career. It was the last 10 years. Before then, it was DMing was like 4 or 5 times more than playing.
Okay. But are you doing so? But you do 5e. You've done Pathfinder 1, Pathfinder 2.
Oh yeah, Pathfinder 1, Pathfinder 2, 5e. Now I'm running a heavy house ruled version of 5e that I'm house ruling on the fly, which is not the way to do it. So I'm going to advise against it. But yeah, so I'm changing it during the campaign, which is not that good. So I can advise against that. So you should house rule before, meaning at least like shift a lot of basis of the whole system, so to speak. So my players have to bear through it, and things become shaky, but they're experienced. So yeah.
And you just tell them, it's like, look, I need your expert opinions on this when we get to that.
No, I even worse. I just tell them, now we're going to do this. After this time, we're going to function differently. But then they stare at me like, what the heck are you doing? And they was like, no. So then I backtrack half, and we get some sort of mismatch when it comes to
4 giveaways, everyone. Will, how about your
Well,
experience background?
I started playing when I was 9, but I didn't actually start DMing or judging or GMing. Really, it was a couple years after that. So, maybe 38 years, 37 years I've been DMing. I go through spurts. It's kind of weird. It's like I'll go through spurts where I'm majority a player, and then I'll go through spurts and now these spurts are years and years, where all I do is pretty much DM. So I've DM'd every edition of Dungeons and Dragons except for 4th. Don't really have a desire to. I'd like to play in it just so I could see if it's half as bad as everybody says it was.
Thanks.
But I've also done Old School Essentials, Palladium. I have a long list of games: Marvel Superheroes, Savage Lands, Traveler. I've done lots. I've played lots of games. My favorite system of all time, which I haven't played in a long time now, is actually Top Secret.
Oh wow!
SI.
Oh, the new version. Yep.
Yeah, the second edition version of it. That's my favorite mechanics of all.
Yeah,
time.
we had lots of fun in the original Top Secret. That was actually really good. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
Chad, I'll get to that in a second.
D100. It was a D100 system. Was the second edition versus the D20.
So 40 for you, Will. How many years? 35, 40?
I would say I'd say around 38.
All right, 38, 40 for Anna, 40 for you, Rob.
Probably. Let's see. Probably about 42 now.
42.
Same.
43 for Ever Mysterious will be on. I just messaged me, and 45 for me.
Wow, that's a couple hundred years of
165.
I'm the baby.
We have 210 years of DMing experience tonight.
Wow.
And we probably don't know anything. So, yeah, I'm just kidding. 210 years. Wow. All right. So for me, I got lucky, and I think it was a blessing that I started DMing with Holmes Basic when this came out, and I think this was a good leapfrog into AD&D. So when this came, 78, 79, we're doing this, and then when everything started coming out in 80, along with the Glossography for Greyhawk and the AD&D books, that just was a natural leap into ditto, exactly, natural leap into getting rolling with AD&D. Now I want to original, very cool, and then I want to show them just to show that I have an uncut strip of them because I have to, unless they got stolen. Here they are, dun dun. I have an uncut set of chits. Yeah.
Wow.
Free dice chits. Yep.
I would say that's the chit, man.
That's the chit, man.
Some serious shit there.
Dice are really dice are better. So. It's called it's known as the prison edition now.
Yeah.
But it's all fun. But so what we'll do is we'll round table some things, and then please ask questions, give your own suggestions to some things, and let's just have some fun with this discussion. I'll say this, that when first edition came out, I was a little confused. And by the way, I also I GM BattleTech. We play that. I did Shadowrun for a couple times, and then we said we can't stand the system. The original.
Do you see that BattleTech's got a new edition coming out? It's on Kickstarter.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's they're money grabbing now like crazy. So we're still going to play classic BattleTech. We're going to keep on playing that. I got all those miniatures, but it's good that there's a lot of excitement about that game. Plus, we have a game going on the May 13th on the live stream, a Saturday night game as opposed to a morning game with that. So yeah, that's coming up. I'll share that at the end too. But but for me, no third, no fourth, no fifth, 1E, 2E hybrid, and that's where I am. But I was confused as a kid. I'm like, what the F are gnomes, man? There are no gnomes in this. Where gnomes come from? So
the garden,
come from your garden.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, and halflings are not thieves. They're fighters in here. They're not thieves. Go ahead, Anna.
You can
I was
even be
gonna
a
say-
wizard halfling with expedition.
Yeah. We actually had a session in Stockholm where one of our players, he came, oh, I found one of our NPCs out in the garden, and he came in with the garden gnome that was sitting outside, and it was kind of funny. So he wanted to give. So he had bought one on the way, and he said he placed him outside, and I found him here. So he found him in a hardware store, whatever he was, and it was kind of funny. It was one of these British garden gnomes with a funny hat and all that.
Yeah, Sam, Tim's got one of the die 20s he uses a lot still, and it'll roll and roll and roll. And if the table's slightly angled, it'll roll right off the table. It's so many corners are damaged. Tim had to reboot his machine, so something's going on. He'll be on.
It's like a D30 rolls forever.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first time really playing D&D or AD&D? I remember some of the D&D stuff. We would make dungeons up, and this is like, I'm 11 freaking years old, Mike, you know. We'd make dungeons up, and we'd take monsters out of this, right, out of this great book here, and got confused a little bit what hit dice meant. So, like, we first time, Shrieker, 3 hit die. I guess that means hit points. Don't realize it's, lots of that kind of stuff we're going on.
Yeah.
But this is a good book.
Man.
This was a good start. Holmes Basic was a nice start. So, yeah, Mike, I don't remember a specific date, but I do remember, like I said, I've always told the story first time I played with Tim. That story I've told 100 times. But other things I don't remember specifically, when the first time I played Holmes Basic. All right, so a new DM, someone is anyone out there in the audience thinking about DMing and hasn't, just say, don't be embarrassed. Just say, hey, me, or it sounds like Scottish Jeff hasn't done it in 35 years. He's going to do it next month. That's good. So, Mystical. Yeah. All right, that's good. So that's great, Mystical. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're in good hands here with everyone here. So
I've got a good story for a first time.
Please do it. Yeah.
So I'm in elementary school. My brother wasn't really into it, but he had the books. And I don't know how I found out about his friend. Now, this is my older brother. They were playing Dungeons and Dragons. Now, this is a long time ago. So I got the address of his friend that played Dungeons and Dragons, went and walked for an hour to get to the guy's house. Didn't know any of these older kids in a basement, of course. And that was my first time playing. I had no idea what I was doing, of course, as nobody does. Had a blast, and they were all just brand new people I had never met. They were all older than me, and it sunk the seed. And then that was it from there. And then those were still my brother's books, but I used them all the time because he didn't use them. So I think he stole them from somebody, to be honest.
Oh boy.
Yeah, my first experience was disastrous. I didn't understand what the heck was going on. It was not fun really, and it was just difficult. People just pointing, say, now you roll this, now you there, and you add whatever, and I didn't understand what it was. Thankfully, they dragged me back into the game a second time, and that's when I actually started to understand what was going on, and I saw the potential of it and started to get hooked, so to speak. So,
Tim, is that a prison door?
Yeah, man. What's up
awesome.
with that door?
Looks like the doors in the Dungeon Masters. The second
Nice, dude.
printing of the Dungeon Masters guide.
It's actually a door that was repurposed and put on the front of a wardrobe that I purchased in Italy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Mike, experience-wise, it was like when we played as kids, before I knew Tim, we would play through the middle of the night, watch Prism, if anyone knew that, which is movies in the Philadelphia market, and old Columbo's Night Stalkers were on CBS late night, and we'd play all night, but the details are left to oblivion in 77, 78, 79. So, go ahead, Rob, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So I mean, for us, it was my brother and I. We're at my cousin's house, and it's kind of weird. As much time as we spent over there in our childhood, I can only recall a couple of times that we had actually been up in like one of the bedrooms. Because normally, if we were there, we were outside or we were downstairs watching television, and happened to see the D&D books. He had the original covers of the Player's Handbook and DM's Guide. And he taught me and my brother, we had to be like 9 and 8 at the time, or maybe even 8 and 7. And, good little Catholic school boys that we were. Our first 2 characters were a thief and an assassin, and we spent our time robbing houses. And it was kind of fitting because we decided that we wanted to be able to play when other times we weren't there, and didn't realize at the time that we knew somebody needed to be dungeon master, but what we didn't realize was that you couldn't play with just the dungeon master's guide. So by the time we finally got a player's handbook, I had quasi memorized the DM's guide.
Yes, yeah, and the DM's guide is not well put together for a 12-year-old.
No,
because when you open it up,
terrible.
When you open it up and it talks about bell curves and stuff in the very first couple pages, you're like, what is this? Is this a science book or something? It was ridiculous.
I mean, I had a very good vocabulary even at that age, but there was a lot of looking in dictionaries. I can tell you that much.
It bumped up my reading comprehension.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
That's very, very true. By the way, 4 giveaways tonight, everyone, including a Best of Dragon Volume 3 hardcover. So
I think the very first bookmark I ever had probably was on the tables page for the DM's guide, because you had to go to it every single time.
Yeah,
it's like where all the tables were.
Yeah, in high school, I took my D&D books with me to the English teacher, and I terrorized her with different words and stuff, and she didn't know what they were, and in English, all the books we used were English, and the problem was that there were no dictionary for these words, so I had to, and there was no one to ask, and she didn't know, and I was like, "You're supposed to know. It's your job to do it." So I was.
A lot were antiquated. You know what I mean?
It's she didn't know the word
regular
for
people didn't use those words.
I used that when I wrote a paper in English, like 8th grade or 9th grade or something like that, or high school, and I used the word olfactory, and my teacher put like a markings, didn't know what it was, and I had to explain it to her in English. I explained it to her. That was funny. It gave me better grades. Yeah.
The word I used was out of the monster manuals when they called something supra geniuses, right? And there, super genius, and my English teacher said, "I don't think that's a real word." I said, "Yeah, it's in here. It's got to be real." Yes,
that's right.
Because everything, back then, everything in the monster manual is real, just like everything on the internet's real now, right? So,
oh God, yes, right.
And pronunciation was always fun. Trebuchet. I'm trying to remember how long it took before we started calling it a trebuchet.
Yeah, lots of them, definitely. So Tim, and I met like in 80, but before that, you had to have some memories before.
Oh, yes.
Then, yeah.
Yeah, so my first DM was my dad. Mm-hmm. And I've said this several times that he killed like one of my first characters. Or he allowed him to die, I should say. Mm-hmm. It was an elf, and some nasty, greedy dwarves killed him, and we tried to explain that we weren't there trying to take their gold, but didn't matter. So I was kind of like, didn't like dwarves for a while, but so that was that. And then early on, he ran for me and some of my friends G1, Steading of the Hill Giant King, and we had first level characters. So he leveled the field by we all had bracers and armor class 2, and we all had cloaks and boots of Elvenkind. And I think we had like a rod of passage so we could get in somewhere. So we were basically the super well equipped expendables, kind of,
Yeah.
And so we would have to sneak in and then skulk around, and so there was a lot of fear and trembling as you're like, these things are walking around, and catch one by themselves, and try to make quick work of them. And then I'm sure he fudged it, but it was very engrossing for quite a while. And so that's
cool.
Some of the earliest ones. Yeah,
we all have memories. And as a DM, if you're new, the goal is to create some new memories for whoever you're playing for, whoever you're DMing for. That's it. So my first piece of advice to a new DM is think about what you want to do. Think about the game and think about, do I want to create a story? Do I want to do it? Do I want to do something that is very combat oriented or RP oriented, but think about what it's going to do for your players. That's my original first piece of advice is before you start, I'm not saying have an end game, but have an idea, a general idea, because that's going to take into account a lot of other things that are going to come up. So, Will, what about you? What starting off a thought process? What would be your first thoughts?
I'll just pick up where you're going and say that not necessarily a session 0, but definitely have a powwow. It depends. If you're going to do like a one shot or something like that, it's not really all that necessary. You just kind of say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this or whatever. But if you're talking about long-term stuff, sit down and have a conversation and just bring pad and paper. Well, paper and pen, I meant, and take notes and everybody talk about what it is they would like to do or some stuff. You ain't got to use all of it, but you can take down, you get a bunch of great ideas. You get ideas for a campaign or whatever. And then you go from there. Just to include the players into that beginning process.
Absolutely.
Because that's one thing I've always found, especially like when I'm working on projects and anything along these lines. When we do those think tank things, I'll come in with an idea. We'll sit around, we'll power brain it. And then like so many better ideas come out of it. It doesn't necessarily replace the original idea, but it gives you, makes it more fully developed and takes it in directions you probably weren't even thinking of that are way cooler.
That's no, and like, I will have an idea. Well, you're dead on. I'll have an idea. I get my inspiration in weird places. Sorry, I don't want to sound creepy. In the shower, or driving because I drive a lot for work. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm not paying attention when I'm driving, and I'm like, that's a great idea. And I'm going to change this up last second, right? So yeah, keep on changing. It's a great point. Rob, how about you?
So my first, and this is mostly because it's the thing that I hear most often is, don't get hung up on thinking that you need to know all the rules. I mean, you're not going to. It's almost impossible. And just when you think you've learned the rules are going, it depend. Even if especially if you're playing later games, the rules are going to change on you. So it's more important to be consistent in what you do. It's okay to take a moment to look things up if necessary, but don't think that you need to be some kind of rules expert before you ever run your first game, because you're just going to end up putting it off and off and off. And then you'll come to that moment where you find out that certain rules just aren't working for you. And it's kind of funny because this is a lesson I learned all the way back in first edition when Unearthed Arcana came out and changed the rules. Like, okay, so what are the rules anyway?
No,
I still don't know the rules.
Exactly. We have no organized rules in my campaign, so we just go with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Addition and rule set bleed is real. I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah, I'm always like an addition behind using this, and I go, "That's not this edition." I go, "Well, it should be."
It's still called will saves. It's this fact that is wisdom saves, and I'm still using will saves. And
right.
I haven't changed the way I speak about it yet.
What about you, Anna, on an initial?
For me, I think one of the things that I want to emphasize, is that when you start playing as a DM, don't think too much about the differences or simply play the NPCs and the monsters like you will play your character. Read the stat block and just play them, so to speak, and just run them and use the stats. Don't and because one of the things that took me a really long time to get into is that I realized after a while that I don't try to manage everything. I just try to play the NPCs and the characters with the players, interact with them and stuff like that as that creature would, so to speak. That I think it's just have fun doing it. And I think a lot of DMs in the beginning, at least me, I wanted a control freak. I wanted to everything around the table my nose should be in everything and try to do everything, control every role and do everything. And now lay back and just have fun, go with it, so to speak. And because the fact is that the players, at least hopefully, should be there to have fun, and that makes it you're an advantage. You don't need to entertain them too much, whatever. Just run a good game for them, so to speak. And that is actually simpler than it sounds.
Embrace the chaos.
Yes. Yep.
Don't fight against it. Don't try and overplan it. Just
exactly. Yep. Yep. And
Tim,
just have a good mix of creatures and NPCs and stuff like that for them, and an interesting environment to interact with, and then you are that environment. It's tricky, but sorry.
No, it's okay. Tim, what about your thoughts on this initial?
I think I wouldn't try to be overly detailed on how you think the adventure should run, but you should have a good locale, whether it's several small ones. And you should have a good cast of characters that are the people that the party will bump into. And you should have a general concept with some side options if they go astray or do something different. And as you do that more and more, you'll be able to do it on the fly easier and be able to make things up and improvise as you go. But I think that sometimes being too set on exactly what you're trying to do, and it gets hard when you're trying to stream it. I think streaming it makes it more like you're going to try to get this done because I only have so much time, and if we go off, it's going to. So I don't. If you're just playing at home, then I would recommend not being overly detailed in how you think it has to go.
Yeah. When you're prepping, prep modular. That is such a good thing to do. So have your scenes be scenes that can be dropped in anywhere. And then you can save those scenes, even if those scenes aren't used. You can use them other places.
Here's a great question, but from Obsidian Risk. Many DMs go through a life prep cycle. When you're a new DM, you over prep. After a while, you adequately, and eventually you make most of it up as you go. Has that been the experience of the panel? If not, what is your prep process? All right, I'll start. Prep process for me. I'm going to get stuff down. All this, right? This is from Saturday. Now, a lot of this I may pilfer from other adventures because I got so many different adventure groups. But I'm going to write stuff down, and then I'm going to think about balance. And I have to throw in my caveat. I have to fit it into, especially for I have to fit it into a 4-hour window in this case, the streaming window. So I got to put all that together in thought. Now, it is less and less, but only because Obsidian. The campaign's been going on for 43 years. I pulled out. We had one player not show up an hour Saturday morning, an hour before. I pull out one of my old NPCs, Theodore Craxus, one of the jesters, and it went really well, right? So I had that, So instead of having a fifth PC, because I can't get a replacement player at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's 5 o'clock in the morning where Anna is. I'm not waking Anna up to play at that time.
I would have my phone silence.
So it was that's the thing, adaptation. But there's a lot of pre-planning going on, and for me, it's also. What terrain am I going to set up? Because I'm a terrain DM. I'm not a theater of the mind DM. So, who wants to go next on that one? Go ahead, Anna.
I was going to say, I'm the worst person to DM to ask because I'm the horrible example of what not to do because I've turned over prepping into my career. So I've definitely not evolved out of over prepping. I've embraced over prepping to the degree that I'm actually getting my income from over prepping. But I think it's something. In a way, you can over prep, but I also want to emphasize we DM for different reasons. So over prepping, meaning world building, might be something you are really, really interested in as a hobby in itself. So to use it in order to play for people, so to speak, with people is kind of a secondary use for something, because I enjoy world building as much as DMing. So Tim,
But I think. What you're over prepping though, you're over prepping to allow freedom.
Yeah.
You're not over prepping. This adventure is going to run exactly this way.
Yeah.
So I think you're good. You're safe. You're good.
You're over prepping the campaign development. The actual.
So my prepping is fairly simple in principle, so to speak. So the first I do is read lore. At first I'd say, okay, this area is going to be the area of interest. Like I want to run something in Shieldlands. Then I read all the lore I can come over for like 6 months or whatever until I feel like now I know this area. And then I map it. So I have what settlements, who live where, so to speak. And then I develop the NPCs, meaning what are the critters that live here, whether humans or elves or dragons or whatever it is. And I give them motivations and I place them out. And then I simply let the players in and their characters run wild in that sandbox. That's in principle all I do.
Yeah,
Well,
so
and Rob, go ahead. Go ahead, Rob.
I was gonna say, for me, I mean, my prepping has always been on the lighter side. When I was younger, when I was young and I had the ability to like just memorize stuff, I could just pull things off the top of my head and we just go to town with it. Now it's more a matter of I kind of, like Will said, being modular about it. I'll have, especially for an in-person session, I'll have a bunch of index cards with the particular monsters or that I might want to use for various encounters, and any NPCs that they need to know about. And because I run, more, unless I'm running a specific module, I'll run a more sandbox game. I'll have it ready so that wherever I need an encounter to take place, I've got the stuff at hand. I don't worry too much about them having to be in a particular place. It's more about just having the essentials I need to run an encounter, to help keep things moving, or to if something needs to happen for the adventure to move forward.
Well, you want to finish this one up?
Yeah, when I was younger, I would say that I did a whole bunch of prepping, because usually if I was running something, I would be like, if I was running D&D, generally I'd be like, I'd go through modules. I wouldn't necessarily run the module, but I'd go through modules and get ideas, write down the ideas, and then I would have that. But one of the things that taught me how to be real improvisational as a game master was running Marvel superheroes, because it's so loosey goosey, and because of the nature of superpowers and stuff, it just goes off to the left like easy, quick, and so you got to be able to roll with it. And I ran a ton of Marvel for like, I don't know, at least a good 8 years straight, and it had D&D sprinkled in there. And I didn't start playing D&D regular until I was in my early 20s. So like throughout my teens, that was dominated by Marvel. And that really taught me how to just make, bullet points. These are the ideas I want, and then just stick to those ideas. The only type of prep I would do is have the bad guys ready, have stat blocks ready. And even with that, what I when I do now is I have generic stat blocks for stuff. This is small bad guy. This is big bad guy. This is medium bad guy. And then these are a list of different special abilities and stuff that I just plug in on these guys for whenever I want them to go. I will say this, the most prep I ever did was when I was streaming. That's when there was a ton of prep, because with lore and stuff, when I run my Greyhawk is my Greyhawk. So I read, I get a good idea, and then it's like, then I just change it. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool, but this is how mine works, and blah, blah, blah. But when I was streaming, that's when I try to be more true. And that's where I pull Anna and go into, I have to pull out the lore. I would go through the lore and study the lore. And then I would get points of lore that I want to put into the show, and things along those lines. And I had to make sure that I had everything ready on a visual aspect, which is something when at a table, I'm a drawer. So I'm drawing the maps, and it's like, even if it's a whiteboard and whatnot, I'm drawing it. And I really, really, really like that more than pre-done maps, because I can change and alter and do whatever I want with it.
Yeah, weirdly enough, that's what the least bit I like the least when it comes to online gaming, is that you need to have graphical prepped. I used to have my dry erase markers. I'm not used. That's why I never mapped buildings, because I drew them by hand as needed.
Yeah.
And now
totally.
I need to prep them, and that takes a lot of time. So yeah.
I do on Roll20. I get the big blank one. I take off the grid. Well, I have the grid on, and then it's just the blank grid. And then I take the draw tool. I just draw that stuff. It takes a little getting used to, because it is not precise. So you got to take some time.
Yeah,
but,
meaning hint to all the VTT players, if you can kind of replicate a good whiteboard on a digital whiteboard, that will be gold to have with the die roller and putting markers, but I haven't seen that yet.
So off on that tangent real quick, because then I want to get to Maddie's question. Is there a recommendation for, should you start as a theater of the mind, should you start as a VTT, or should you start as a mini terrain? And I'm going to say it's not bad being a mini terrain DM, because if you got unpainted miniatures and you got a little piece of paper and you're graphing, mapping out, it's not a bad thing. So all of them. I think VTT is actually going to be the toughest of the three to start. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I think it depends on, first of all, your situation. Meaning, if you live out in the way in Boondock, there's no one else to play with, then VTT and online is your option. Yeah. So that's one thing. And the other one is also, what are your strengths and interests as a DM? Are you an artistic person who loves world building and like me doing maps and stuff? Then play to that strength, so to speak. But if that's not your forte, go theater of the mind and just talk about it and skip the graphics and just do super simple doodles or whatever. So play to your strength and emphasize the things that you like, so to speak.
There's also going to be an element for theater of the mind, and I love doing theater of the mind, but not all of your players are going to be able to handle theater of the mind. Mm-hmm. Some of them, they can't visualize it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it's some people are just not built that way. So combat, if you're going to do combat with theater of the mind, you have two choices. Either you're going to need to use some kind of rough map just to show where things are in relation to each other, or you're going to have to do, and I kind of do this on my Friday night game, where it's just kind of like, don't worry about it. You're close enough. It's here, there. You just tell them where something is in relation to you, and give them options. But there's some people just don't function well. I have a friend who could not play in a theater of the mind game, just wouldn't enjoy it. So when I'm in person, we use battle map. We use battle maps with figures, and if we have a little piece of terrain, we'll do that too. But it's mostly just stuff drawn on a map.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Well, it depends, like you said, what your preferences are. One thing I'd like to say is I do theater of the mind until combat, if it's multiple bad guys, or if the area in which I put it in has a bunch of strange or unique nooks and crannies that make the terrain is specific to make it be as part of the challenge. The terrain is, that's when I'll have the maps. Aside from that, it would be just theater of the mind. Now, one thing I do want to say is, if you do minis, keep in mind you can do minis cheap. You don't have to have the huge, Dwarven Forge and all this different stuff. While it's super cool, I love minis, but I always forget. I remember now, the wooden peg dolls, which are essentially the wooden clothespins, and they cut them off. Mm-hmm. And I use those. I spray paint those. Those are what I use. And I go and I have buckets of soldiers and plastic soldiers and stuff that I had gotten, and that's all I use. I don't have a bunch of,
you don't use cowboys
different
and Indians, do you?
Yeah.
I've got some of them too. Don't you?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I got stuffed animals for some of the bigger monsters. You got it, man. I got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we used token. We used like tokens that I basically
Gummies.
printed out. Yeah, I
Gummy
printed
bears.
out stuff and then glued them to pieces of cardboard and then put plastic on top so I could dry erase how many hit points or conditions and stuff when we had them on the table, and that worked really well. And I just had tons printed, and I had empty ones or like ones that were just colored and nothing on this, so I guess it write whatever came up. So that was easy when I just could improvise, so to speak. So in that sense, improvisation is easier at the table than it is in VTT.
If you're gonna, here's a little something. If you're gonna have a party at the house, where you're going to have like a bunch of people come over and you want to have a party game, just play some D&D, and then all the monsters and everything, make everything edible. So when you kill it, you get to eat it, and there's your prize.
like M&Ms or something like that.
Or finger sandwiches or whatever.
Yeah.
Tim, what was our slag box called?
The fishies.
The fishy box.
The
box of all the slag pieces and here are all our orcs back in the day.
Yeah, I was definitely going to say if you're doing it the first time, don't use Jay as an example with all the ornateness, and don't worry about the VTCs being fancy. The important part about the whether it's digital or physical is clarity of where things are in relation to another.
Yeah, that's it.
And sometimes two-dimensional sketch on a butcher block paper or whatever, and miniature standing there, and you can always draw a line showing elevation if you need to, and things like that to make it clearer, because the more visually spectacular it is, the more sensory overload people are trying to do. And as a DM, you don't need more sensory overload. You need it clarity.
These served me for 20 years. They were awesome. Dry erase markers and tactiles. They're different versions and they're cheaper than these were horribly expensive back then. But there are many different versions of mats and stuff that it's cheap and works really, really well. Yeah.
Oh, I learned, this is just a quick tip. I learned this off of somebody's video. Did you know that? And it'll say on the packaging, a lot of wrapping paper, the big wrapping paper rolls, on the backside is a grid.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just pull it off. You could have this big old sheet of graph paper, and then there you go. I never knew that. I learned that like a couple months ago.
I actually used it on the last Underdogs thing. I had butcher board paper that had graph on it and drew the keep and the fort and the switchback trail that went up. Not the Underdogs, the Dark Hand.
I'm getting some people like the one immediately to your right or left, the lower level, saying, "When's Tim DMing again?" Right, Will?
I sure was.
Yes, absolutely. So
I was. If Tim didn't call me from every once in a while, I would think he didn't like me, because every time I've been on the show and Tim's supposed to be on, he didn't show up.
Yes, well, Tim, that's why he's ever mysterious.
I'm mysterious.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, I was late. I mean, I was late today. You're gonna feel bad now. I was late today. We had my a colleague and dear friend of my wife at school. She passed away of cancer this past week, and so
sorry.
My condolences.
Yeah. So there's a lot of sadness going on. So
it's okay.
That's why I was late. How do you not feel now, Will?
I still miss you. I still miss you.
Absolutely, we all do. We all miss the mysterious. I got a good story. Sandbox question from Maddie. Advice for Sandbox DMs. A lot of people will go, Jay can't give that because he don't sandbox. Tim, tell everyone a little quick story about the days of Skeeve in Highport.
All right, so no one was available at a game where I was back home from college. I don't forget what it was, but Skeeve is a high-level magic user thief, and he was decided to go undercover into Highport to try to thwart the slave trade, and see what he could do to influence things. And Jay was on the fly making up locations in the city. I'm sure he drew up a couple ideas about the different types of thieves guilds. There's a humanoid, a demi-human, and a human thieves guild, and they all don't like each other. He had to make up names on the fly. Some of the names we can't use anymore.
No, we can't. I get a 30-day ban. I would be banned or even permanent. But
I bet that Jay would be a great sandbox DM.
He is.
And the reason because he's got one of those beautiful braids, that just like pulls up like stats and numbers and names from like, I don't know, 40 years ago. It's like, oh yeah. It's like, I couldn't remember half of the stuff that he remembered.
Yes, Alex, he ripped it off from the Robert. It's Skeeve. He ripped it off from the books, the myth books. Yes, he did.
Yeah. I mean, I was coming into Jay's campaign and the characters were all like 18th level. So I made up a guy named Skeeve, and I had him as an NPC too. And And then he ended up marrying Lord Page's ex-wife.
Yeah, Lord Page's ex-wife. Absolutely. Who's in the campaign still. And if you all remember, Skeev's kids are the ones, the son brought the whole band onto the beach in Harby, and they all got wiped out by that fireball. Anna remembers that. So the next generation is going. So the question on sandboxing for beginners. Who wants to take that up? Some advice for sandboxing.
Is it just advice in general?
Yeah, that's what Maddie has said. And give us some advice if you're new and you want to sandbox.
Oh, okay. Well, that's easy. Hey, Maddie.
Thank you, Tim, for that.
My advice for that is pretty much the same advice because I do my style's a lot very sandboxy. I just get yourself as many random tables as you can find. There's a bunch of good books that are out there now that have just tons of random generation stuff, and just collect as much stuff as you can, as far as that you can just drag it and drop it in, and that includes just NPCs, maps, and ideas. Ideas are probably the best thing for you to collect. And all it has to be is have your book of ideas, and it could just be a partial or a full page or whatever. When something pops in your mind, you say, oh, that's kind of cool. It could be a trap. It could be, a small adventure. It could be an adventure hook. Because if you think about it, a lot of these small things can be taken and stretched out into something. An adventure hook, getting into the adventure is what? It's a whole adventure unto itself, And when dealing with sandbox, you just have to ask the players where they're going and then react to it. And just, I guess that, just ask as many questions you want. And then if you've got a stockpile of stuff to just go over to, then you just go over to that and continue on.
Yeah, I think the key to because I'm basically a pure sandbox DM. I run my things are the very, very pure sandbox. And I think one of the key things in sandbox is to understand the world, your world, meaning if you can understand how it ticks, because instead of having a story and plot lines and stuff, you have a place, meaning some sort of physical location. You need to know what kind of buildings, what kind of vegetation and stuff, what's there physically for the players for the characters to interact in. That's one dimension. The other dimension, who lives there? And why do they live there? What do they do? So you have to have some idea, and you don't need to have much. Meaning what I do is simply I put the NPCs and the monsters, meaning all the critters that lives there, whatever type they are, and have a sentence or two, or just a basic idea. Now I just know that, okay, there is a bunch of hobgoblins. They are stationed there because some dude sent them there, and they are going there, and they're militaristic, and they systematically raid everybody in the neighborhood, so to speak, and they know it. And then so try to figure out how a place functions, and that is and what the motivations are everybody involved, and then you can just have them interact, just play them with and against the players, and just go with it. That's my advice. Figure out, instead of thinking plot lines, think, okay, who are these dudes, and the people that lives in town, are they rich, poor, and happy, unhappy, and stuff like that? What are their goals? Are they going to stare at strangers and want to kill them and steal all the stuff they have, or are they welcoming them as new kind of friendly people they haven't seen before? Stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, motivation is huge.
Yeah, motivation's a good one.
Yeah, in sandbox, that's instead of plot lines and stories, meaning you have the critters and all the inhabitants. That, I guess, that's a term that covers everything. Their stuff.
And sometimes on the odd chance, go Tim.
No, you go, man.
No, I was gonna say, and the thing is, you don't need to have all of it right up front. Just enough. If your players do something, decide that they want to go somewhere that you weren't expecting. I'm not the biggest fan of random encounters, but if I need to, I will throw an encounter in their way just to delay until I get a grip on what I want to have happen when they arrive wherever it was that you decided to go. It's the idea that you have just enough while you figure out what the rest of it is going to be. If you know your world cold and you have that all in, that's great. I mean, but sometimes players will just pull one that you didn't see coming, and that's fine. Do what you need to do to keep the game going, keep the the session going, and then do your planning, at the same time, or when the next session comes, be ready for the next session.
Tim, go ahead.
I was just going to say, have a couple counters set up, so if they go outside, out of the village, if it starts in a village, just to have a loose setup. I like the Judges Guild products because every single location, at least in the original ones, every single tavern, shop, whatever, had a little italicized line at the end of it that was said rumor, and it was just some random rumor, or not random, but it's some rumor about something going on or something, information they knew, and most of them were plot hooks for a cool adventure or a cool idea to go check out. Every single location in the city-state is that way. And so that gives you lots and lots of options here. Because we spend a lot of time in the city-state, and, walking up a road, there's random stuff based on the neighborhood.
Scares the shit out of me. The city-state just scares me to death, man. And I got super high-level characters. I'm like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. And in the sandbox, if you want to start out in the sandbox, don't start in a huge city. Make yourself a tiny little village with 50 people living in it, or 25 people, and have some action going around there. So you have that, and make sure that the rest of the world is at least 5 or 10 miles away, so it's not luring them away, so to speak. Yeah.
Hamlet, not Great Hawk City.
Exactly. Start small in that sense, and start low level too, because that way you don't have to. Yeah. So make a small little controlled environment. Start with a village and where there's a lot of people going around who want to rob it, or an evil invasion or whatever, and stuff like that, or some murder mystery. There's a lot of things that can go on in a village or something, and the dangers out in the forest and stuff like that. And so start out small when it comes to geographical scope, because the big problem you have in sandbox is that the players see something at the horizon and want to take off in a random direction. And I called, even like 2 sessions ago, I said, no, I haven't planned more, so now we end the session, because they ran off and they didn't take the bait and ran off, and I simply say, okay, then we end it an hour early, and I prepped and we continued. So don't be afraid of doing that when you sandbox. That some sessions get shortened because but don't stop the players from what they want to do. That's the other key bit.
Dr. Faust, great to see you, Dr. Faust.
Yep.
So it's great. It's a great idea. We're doing DMing for Dummies. Welcome. We got 210 years of DMing experience between the 5 of us. So please, we also got a ton of giveaways. So please sit, Dr. Faust. Great to see you and your crew. Please follow, and 5 giveaways tonight. 4 giveaways tonight. Maybe 5. We'll see. But welcome. Thank you so very much. Great advice, Anna, on that last one. Any other thoughts there, Anna? And then anyone else want to cover the sandbox? And if not, we're going to go
I think that was a good start, so to speak. Start
really
small.
good.
Yep.
Really a good one. The next one is ways back, and it's on character deaths. And this is always a tough one. I know John's done some discussions on this. So it was about, is it death for death's sake, or death? Not every death has to have meaning to it. I don't like killing off characters permanently, as you watch in my streams. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't put half the party down into the negatives and let them slowly go down, and if someone saves them, so be it. But permanent death is something that's, hey, I would prefer them to be challenged.
You're a nice guy, man.
Oh, come on. Rob, was I nice yesterday morning?
No.
It was a challenge.
Oh, man.
It was a challenge.
Yeah. Mike Dizzy's Norax got whomped at the end. He ran up to that bronze golem and that was it. And he was down, right?
I'm going to say I am mildly surprised that only one character ended up in the negative yesterday, because that was, wow.
Yeah. But you guys were great. You guys played very well. I'm really happy the way Little Bird's coming along with Lerja. She's really good.
Her command of her character is really good.
Yep.
Really good.
So, but what's everyone's thoughts on death? And is it die rolls? You fudge them once in a blue moon so you don't kill someone, or do you just say I never fudge? Or just a whole encompassing questions about character death. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tim.
I will fudge sometimes. And I can see where I might even fudge the other way and kill them on purpose, depending. But I haven't done that. But I can see myself doing that, if I want to. But usually I fudge, let them live. I'll kind of put them in negatives if it looks like an outright kill. Now sometimes it's a crit, and that's just like that's a shame. And then I usually will provide an opportunity to bring them back afterwards. Early on, getting a loan out, and then you can take all their magic items till they pay off the loan, and it's a great way to limit that magic and keep them in debt. Jay's Cavalier early on fumbled and cut off my gnome's leg at the hip, so that regeneration was expensive. Yeah, cut it. She fumbled and cut his leg off at the hip. Jay looks so mortified and embarrassed, but it's like, it's not your fault.
Really.
Tim
did something real quick. Tim did something a long time ago. He had the priests do speak with deads with the player characters, and they found out one character was actually neutral evil, and they refused to raise him. Remember that? And then they tried to get him convert in death, and the person refused, and they didn't raise the character.
That's right.
No. I'm on the record, and I will say it again. I don't fudge. I don't fudge. I don't fudge to kill characters. I don't fudge to keep them alive. I don't want that power. Of all the powers that I have, I don't want, because my feeling is as soon as I start fudging die rolls in either direction, I am directly responsible for deciding who lives and who dies. And I don't want that responsibility. Because then what happens when I do let a character die? Well, then it becomes a question. Well, did you fudge that roll? Did you fudge the one that the person who didn't die? I don't want that responsibility.
Understood.
Now, interestingly enough, going, with regards to like the availability of them staying, whether they stay permanently dead, I've never limited the possibility of bringing them back. But of all the characters that I've killed, I only can think of, I have a hard time even thinking. I might have one in all the years that I've DM'd where the players have actually gone and said, we were looked to bring the character back. Normally they're maybe it's just the players I have, but most of them have just been happy to roll up a new one. I've never said, nope, he's dead. That's it. You're gone. Done. Tear it up. People seem to just take it in stride. I haven't gone overly heavy on killing characters. I've probably on the lighter side for some, but I've never had any. I haven't really had a lot of. Well, what do we do now?
Just the style of your players. Jeff, I'm going to give Jeff a quick answer. Jeff, do this. Maybe have them hired. Have a church hire them, or some sponsor. Hey. We have one scroll. Part of the agreement, if we'll raise one character or something like that. Remember, you can do things like that because you're playing 1E, 2E. There's lots of characters get raised. Just an idea, so you don't have to take it off of them a little bit. And oh my gosh, if I die,
I've never had that magic available, like easy, not even close.
But
if they wanted to bring somebody wanted to bring somebody back, you got a quest for that or something like that.
I know, but his first game, first time, he's a little worried, right? So I'm just giving him some
odds. No. Yeah. I think basically with that though, Jeff, you should you hit the nail on the head though, Jay, with it's your character, it's your party, it's your players.
Thank you.
Are your players like, are they the type of people that get like super attached to to their characters and stuff? And are you okay with that as a DM bringing them back? Because if you are and they are, then that's the course of action you should take. Like I'm a DM that doesn't like doing that. I'm a lot more along the lines of
Gotcha.
You keep them dead and you make it hard to happen. That sort of thing has to be like a big deal. But my players are that way too, and people who enjoy my DMing are that way. Now I will change my DM style for different groups and stuff. But if I'm talking about my home campaign with the people I play with on a regular basis, we've already hashed that out. And that's where I say it's important to talk about that stuff before you begin play and what have you, so that you know just how well you mesh. It's like finding a new girlfriend or boyfriend. It's like you go out on a date for a little while and you get to figure each other out.
It depends on the age. I mean, because I DM'd for my daughter, and then I've DM'd for my son and his group, and so if they're learning, they're quite young, so I did also TPK one of my son's parties, so I mean I will do that if it happens, but usually it's kind of one of those. I'll just reduce a damage just to give them maybe one more round of combat because it's fun. They're in the battle, they're having the fun. So I'm comfortable doing it. I'm comfortable in deciding. So
I think one of the things that Jeff is worried about in most new DMs is they're worried about upsetting the players, right? So you want to know one of the number one things you can do to keep players from being upset in those situations is telegraph everything that's happening. Now you can't necessarily do that on the roll of a crit. You know what I'm saying? But for example, just how you describe something, you go up to the door, you crack it open, you peek in. Inside is a group of 6 goblins. Okay. How about this? You go up to the door, you crack it, you peek in. Inside are 6 of the toughest, meanest looking goblins you have ever seen in your life. And you're pretty sure that these guys, if you don't catch them by surprise, will work you guys over. You see the difference in the two approaches on how I described it? You telegraphed it to them. It's like, be prepared. It's the same thing like with traps. One of the things they say, the key things about traps is telegraph it. Let them know that there's something odd. Don't tell them what the trap is. Just let them know there's something strange here. When you do that and people are not just taken out of total by surprise, they accept the consequences a lot better and understand it a lot better.
Yeah, and I think a lot of good points. I want to add a couple of points.
Please.
First of all, I think character death is a good thing to have in the game because it's one of the things that makes the game scary for players. And meaning that you need so many deaths, you need enough character deaths to keep the players from thinking, oh, this is a cakewalk and stuff. So it's like in a movie. It wouldn't be interesting to see a thriller or horror movie if no one died in it, so to speak. It's part of the drama that makes role-playing games interesting. You can kind of that's a risk that you might lose your character. That the players need to have that kind of incentive to start behaving in a certain way. So that's one thing. So a couple of guidelines. So in that sense, that there should be occasional character death, and also one of the tricks you can do, be hard on them early on in the campaign, because it's much harder to lose a character that you played for 2 years than one that you played for 3 weeks. So I'm usually going hard. That I'm no problem killing off newbie characters. That's be hard on them earlier on and then ease up after a while. And also depending on the players, if the players start just playing and just rolling dice, whatever, then you need to strike, so to speak. So always show that as a DM, you should have a mean side, that they should know that all of a sudden you can pick that whatever it is out your back pocket and the big sledgehammer, so to speak. So so you and that's part of the drama of and dramatic liturgy of role-playing games, that as a DM you need to have that weapon, and the players should be know that, but it also needs to make sense, so to speak. So and the players have to understand that they there should be a way out. Give them omens and whatever, but don't paint them too hard in the corner. It's kind of a balancing act, but it's a necessary thing in order to make it interesting. That makes the game much more interesting and fun if there's a risk of dying, so to speak. And the other tip: don't let dying be the worst that can happen. There is worse fate than death, so to speak. And that's another way of easing off the problem of dying. Make sure there are worse things that can happen to your character than dying, so to speak. And so that is like, that's not the end of their problems, that when you die, so to speak. So there's always way you can twist it. So like your character can become undead and be really screwed up and stuff. So your soul might end up in the wrong place. So that might, it's not the end of So I use those themes. I've only had one character death, and this weird, only one character death in my campaign in 2 years, and that kind of proves so they can go on. So there's many ways around it, but don't shy away from character death. It's a good part to have a part of the game.
There's a free NPC for people watching. Okay.
Yeah.
If your party is hack and slash and kills a bunch of people, NPCs, if player characters die and they just leave them, they roll them, get the loot, and move on. Have an NPC necromancer that follows the PCs. And he goes different places where they're at, and he's raising an army of these old dead NPCs and player characters, and then just have them just show up one day and just take them out.
One thing I want to add, on the flip side of the thing is, if you're worried about character death, one thing that you don't want to like cut it out of your game. You think it's important, because I believe it is you have to celebrate your player character's victories. They have to know that you're playing. Yes, you'll be role playing their adversaries. You're role playing the monsters, but it's not you against them. Because once they have that mindset, then it starts to bring in the question of, well, are you just being vindictive or this? You should want your players to succeed. If they fail, it's hard, things happen, but have happy moments. Celebrate their victories when they defeat the monster. Be excited about it. It's fine.
And have good NPCs, and not all the monsters and NPCs are out there to kill the characters, or are out there to be killed by the characters. That's the other rule for new BDM. Make sure you have good guys too, and creatures that are honestly there because they like others. So a world is not only made up of evil, weird, horrible, insane monsters. Otherwise there will be no civilization in your world. So
I have something that I use in my home campaigns. I never use it on any of the streams. Have a renown stat. Super easy to do. Renown is equal to their level. You roll D20, you roll under it, then that person knows them, and then you adjust it accordingly.
That is a great rule. Renown rule. That's awesome.
They're away from people, and you can adjust it for if people know that they're there or something along these lines, and it works good and bad. You go upon those same goblins that are in that room that you snuck in on. You guys are all 10th level. You roll, you get under it, and you rolled a 1. These goblins know who you are. Like, whoa, hey, we don't want none of this. We're good.
Hey, boss, good to see you.
Exactly.
What do you need? What do you need?
Exactly. And that's a great reward that you can give to players that doesn't have a magic weapon connected to it, or renowned as far as money that they have.
That means that every NPC, when you're 20th level, you're screwed. Everybody knows you.
Well, see, then that's where the modifiers come into play.
Oh yeah, right? I'm just kidding.
Like,
but it's
yeah. Well, because if you're 20th level, though, let's be honest, 20th level,
exactly,
you should be known.
Exactly. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's a great rule. I love it. Thank you. Well, that is an awesome rule. I'm putting that in my house rules right away here. So
we use notoriety, but it's abstract.
Yeah. But it's such a simple mechanism.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing, is that you don't have to have everything etched down in a rule book either. Even though I got so many books, you can make stuff that's abstract and have the party members make rolls against intelligence or stats or perception or whatever edition you're playing. Anyone else want to close this topic out?
What was the topic again?
That's what I was thinking. I forgot.
Character death.
Deaths. It was deaths.
Oh yeah.
No, don't shy away from it. And to be honest, most players don't get angry if their characters die. If it's a fun part of the game, it's memorable. you don't take away player agency. You don't like that's one of the things I never liked about old school, was that it was some sort of an outwitting. As a player, you wanted or as a DM, you wanted to lure the players' characters into a situation that, oh, see, you fell into that acid trap that you can't get out of, and now you're dead, kind of thing. And that I don't like that bit at all. So you don't try to outwit the players. That I think is one of the essential bits in that sense. So make sure the players have agency in options.
Would you say a trapper would be in the same category?
Don't start with that. Don't start.
But it's different. But to be fair, there are different styles of play. Some players like that old school style when it's go against one or the other, and some don't.
At least I didn't pick your pockets, Tim, from another PC.
Oh yeah, I know.
Wow.
It just made me mad.
Question. I'm gonna bounce around here. Favorite resource. Now, I forget who asked it. I think it was Obsidian. I don't know if I can say what my favorite resource is. There's too many, but I'm going to tell you what I do. I create my own resource. I usually don't show these books. Now, these are other books in addition to the Classes and Races book, which is back here, which is the main one. But here's some. Because you see stuff in publications, Dragon magazines, wherever, right? So here's a magic items one, a creature resource, and alchemy, because we've gotten really into the doing a little more alchemy lately with maesters and witches and other things. So there you go. And just take stuff, photocopy it, compile it, digitize it, do whatever. I know this is old school, but and look, and get some articles, you throw them in here, and you create your own references. That's what I would say is a suggestion. What about anyone else on favorite resource that you utilize?
You can still do it. And I think, and I think you were in the process of doing this, going through it again. Go read old dungeon magazines, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the beauty of it is the archive on the internet. You can get them all for free. You just go get, they're all up there. You can go. I mean, and there's so many of them. And there's just so much good stuff just hiding in those pages.
It's the bloggers. Now it's a Greyhawk bloggers, meaning Scott McMillan. He had an article or a series of articles about Grey Kingdom. Meaning, come on, it's dynamite. It's gold. It's fantastic. Yeah. Greyhawk Mike, Will you and we have So there's so many and now that they're that write awesome stories and they put together stuff and so there's so many cool stuff that you can now work on other shoulders, so to speak. You don't have to do all the heavy lifting yourself. You can actually use it and cherry pick. And again, cherry pick. Take the bits you want, skip it. The same thing goes with the stuff you get from me and my maps or whatever. Take the bits you like, throw away the bits you don't like, because we have different needs and different likes and desires. So yeah.
I want to show an example here. Keep on going, please.
And I mean, even beyond that, and great thing. You mentioned dungeon magazines, the old dragon magazines. Same thing. The Earth journals are a fantastic resource. But even then, I mean, anything can be a resource. I had in my last camp, my previous campaign, I basically took the entire concept of the Feywild from Dresden Files, because I loved the way it was presented, and the players that I had that had read the novels, they reacted to it exactly the way I hoped they would react when I brought in, introduced the summer and winter courts, and it added everything to it, and needed to do some work on putting it in terms of mechanics and stuff, but anything that you find interesting, regardless of where it's from, use it. It doesn't have to be a D&D product or even a gaming product.
Yeah, I love history documentaries and nature shows when it comes to. I mean, you can take a lot of interesting monster design from the real world, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And also then learn things like ecology and city design, sociology, and stuff like that, how that works, and political science. These are really good topics to have at least a kind of amateurish understanding of in order to make interesting role-playing game campaigns and stuff, because these are things that you can find out how do monsters work and how do cities function and medieval history or the history of something that fits into your campaign, where there's Renaissance, ancient Egypt, the Civil War, United States, whatever it is, something that fits into your campaign perspective. If you want to have a civil war or something going on, strife within an empire or something, then the fall of Rome, the French Revolution, the American Revolution, all of these are interesting. Or even today's political landscape, you can take inspiration from and then make your fantasy version of it in your campaign, so to speak. File off the serial numbers and figure out motivation why things go south, so to speak, and then use it in your games, or go bad or go well too, meaning what are the heroes and how do you build a resistance organization and stuff if you want the characters to be part of that, fighting against Ayus or some other evil overlord and stuff like that.
Anyone else want to talk about this one, or I want to show? Yep. All right. So
I like Warhammer.
Yeah, you use Warhammer stuff.
Warhammer is awesome.
Yeah.
I do have a good guide, is Mike Shea's Lazy Dungeon Master.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Keith Amon,
Sunday morning too.
Keith, I don't know how it's pronounced his last name. Keith Amon, is the monsters know what they're doing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And the books. It's great resource, especially for a new DM.
It's real quick.
But do they know?
Magic Item book.
Depends on the intelligence level.
It discusses that whole concept of intelligence level, alignment, and such. What they're likely to do in different things.
Yeah.
What is it, magic?
So, Magic Item book, rings that do weird things. Number 7 on here, Rob. Yeah. Ring of Blade Turning. Just in this article in my book here. Sounds familiar.
Nice.
See what I'm saying?
Yes. The Ring of Manfred.
Yes. Things that are long lost in a Dragon magazine. Put it in a binder if you like it. You know?
Yeah. So. I put a link, roleplayingtips.com. I put that in. It's a Canadian guy, John Four. He's awesome. He has a newsletter that comes out like once a week, I think it is, or every 2 weeks or so. With he has tons of cool tips and tricks and stuff, just like Schleifer Flourish. He's one of these that is there to, and their job is to make life easier for us being DMs, and they're both fantastic. I love both John Four and Mike Shea, Sly Flourish. They're both fantastic at this. So yeah.
Okay, another question that Jeff brought up was metagaming. We'll put this all together: rules learning, metagaming, and table talk. So as you see, table talk goes a little off the beat, especially on Thursday night when we're all watching the draft. That's at the TV on. I mean, it goes on. It goes on my game. It's part of my game, right? It's part of the game, not having theatrical experience. And it's part of a lot of people's games. You just got to be generous about it and say, hey, let's it's called the transient penalty, right? Transiency. It happens all the time. But metagaming and rules learning, that's a little more tricky, right?
How much does it bug your table?
What, metagaming?
Because that's or even the talking, because that's the thing. One of the things that I liked the most about I'm always looking for a good podcast. And years ago, I started listening to the Glass Cannon, and the Glass Cannon's original series I thought was awesome. And one of the things I loved the most was like 10 to 15 minutes of their podcast that started off was them bullshitting.
Yeah.
Them sitting around and talking. And that's what you do. When everybody comes to the table, you're talking for a while. So is your table okay with that? With taking breaks and talking about it and stuff? If your table's okay with it, don't sweat it. Don't think that you as a DM, if it happens, is something that you have to corral and bring in if everybody's cool with that sort of thing. If they're not, then you just got to talk to the people involved.
Well, when you have young people, sometimes I'm rolling for Wandering Monsters right now.
Yeah.
You just start rolling dice. Everybody pays attention. What?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, and metagaming is it's something that if the players metagame, I like it as a DM because that gives me an insight into their thinking and what they perceive and stuff. So I love it when players try to when they really metagame because that gives me a chance to tweak something. Meaning then later on, and I can because something you have to realize as a newbie DM. Don't worry about the players slaughter everything you throw at them. You have unlimited amount of creatures. Don't worry about it. You can invent millions of new orcs. So if they slaughter through the first 100 like nothing, don't worry about it. Just let it affect. Realize that the evil overlord will probably send beefier ones next time. So that and get really pissed. So don't worry about the players having it too easy and do it. And so if they meta game. That's your way of getting into their thinking, understand their needs, their desires and stuff. So I see it as a good thing for the most part, so to speak. And it's when they try to disturb other players' plays, so to speak, by metagaming what they should do. If you have one player saying to another player, "Oh, you should use that other spell because that gives you more pluses than this one and stuff." That's when I want to a player that metagames his or her own games and actions. That I'm usually very okay with. It's when they metagame for another player in more like trying to tell them what to do in a bad way. Yeah,
I agree with that if it's unwanted.
Exactly, if it's unwanted.
If the player, because we've all had these players that sit at the table that are very indecisive, aren't sure of what to do, and these could be veteran players, people who've been playing for a ton of time, and if they're okay with somebody else helping coach them,
exactly.
Just let it go. I mean,
metagame is usually positive in the way, but that's a new insight on me. I used to be terribly against all of that. People who didn't listen and stared at me and so on. I had control issues at the table, and I wanted to have all the roles secret, meaning I needed to make all the roles that the players didn't know more than needed. Now I make the players having they do all the perception roles and stuff like that. So I've relinquished way more to the players, and I'm much more happy doing it. But that was a hard-won insight on my part. So that I needed to do that and simplify some of the rules too. Yeah.
And one thing you got to understand, you kind of need to understand is metagaming is happening whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
The second that you've got players who've killed something, been through any kind of gaming with you, you start a new campaign with first level characters. What they know about the creatures that they're facing is going to enter into their minds when they face them again as new characters who have never seen them before.
True.
Yep.
So it's one of those things like you need to accept that there's going to be some level of it. It's you have to decide where that limit is, but you also have to there's going to have to be a point where stuff that you're going to have to be okay with, because otherwise it's impossible for somebody to forget everything that they've ever known about monsters. This is also a great point where you decide to change the monsters a bit and tweak them. Bingo. so that you throw them off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I will say, and here's the thing: when you get to higher level monsters, and there are certain monsters that are going to be deadly even to the most seasoned players, seasoned characters, things like the Beholder. I am not a huge fan of throwing Beholders at parties. And it's a creature I will never throw at a party without them knowing what they're coming up against or having ways for them to get away, because there's no way that a party can face a Beholder for the first time, have no idea, theoretically have no idea what it's supposed to be doing, and survive. The Beholder's going to wipe the floor with them, just because it can basically do so many things to them. So you need to plan for, well, how do the characters find out about this?
You can have them witness another party getting slaughtered, and they'll always be scared from there on.
Yeah,
there's that. There's basically rumors, legends, things that they can learn along the way to fight this thing, because otherwise they're going to walk in and they're going to get their butts handed to them.
So on that, our good friend Ed Greenwood always made other things that looked like beholders that weren't. And I used one against him at GaryCon, the bleeder, right, for example. So you can always do that kind of stuff too. You can always throw those wrenches into the game. There's nothing that says you can't change a creature, a monster up. And make a cockatrice not turn to stone or something, and give it who knows, give it fire breath. It doesn't matter, right? You can make some changes to things.
Metagaming makes your job as a DM easier.
It does.
Yep.
You're right.
So much easier. I was like, oh, is that the way it is?
Yeah,
okay,
no,
we'll
you're dead
see.
on it, Will.
We'll see.
That's a great point. You're dead on that.
Yeah, and also don't counter metagaming trying to outsmart it with game stats, meaning throwing bigger monsters or whatever. No, use it in order to figure out what the players, their character desires and stuff, and then change it more on a higher level, meaning instead of changing, just tweaking one of the few stats when it comes to orcs, say that Ayu's got the message. You killed first 100 of him. He going to say 500s that are 10 times beefier just to wipe out that damn whatever cost this. He goes to get so pissed that you will be high up on the enemies list, and he's going to make sure he eliminates you, so to speak. So use more of a world perspective. That's usually how I handle it. Meaning, if you go around metagaming so you win everything and say, oh, you're good, then some evil overlord will end up high on the enemy list, so to speak, and have fun with it. So you can deal with it. There are many different levels you can deal with it. You can tweak the rules, so you can tweak a stat block, or you can tweak how the campaign is run. And sometimes you need to do one or the other or many, but there are many you have many different levels you can tweak things as a DM, and that's the hard part, to figure out which way to deal with it. Should you change the rules? Should you change the practice around the table, or should you just change how the campaign is run?
So
can we answer Scottish Jeff's question that he's talking about in chat about his rule lawyering?
Yeah, I think so.
Player?
I think so. Yeah. I think we did.
Well,
I know Sam helped him out on that one too in chat. Yeah.
Well, I've got a suggestion for him, and
Go
basically what you should do. So he's got a player that what they do is, when it's other players' turns, he pumps them full of suggestions continuously, and I guess it rolls over in time to where it takes way too much time. Codify it. Say, hey, going forward, this is what we'll do. If you want to help somebody, ask the player that you're trying to help. If they say, yes, help me. Okay. Timer starts now. You got 1 minute. After the 1 minute's done, you have to have your suggestions done. Give all the suggestions. At that time, action is being taken.
I'd say 30 seconds.
I know. A minute, I think, is generous, right? Yeah. But codify it. Acknowledge that it exists. Acknowledge that it's happening, because there might be people there that really like that and enjoy his help. He's just taking it a step too further.
And if he busts it, you can say, well, your character is trying to tell people what to do, so he loses his action because he's telling people what to do in the middle of fighting.
Bingo.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I also think that we need, I also think that we need to recognize that there are different motivations to play D&D and role-playing games. Some people like the game part of it. It's very important with the rules and the pluses and the rolling the dice, and the game mechanics are one of the essential reasons they play the game. That's for them is the main experience, is to do the cool thing, get more pluses, win the die rolls, and win the combat, meaning dole out more damage than you take, etc. That part aspect of the game is essentially the main reason they play. And then you have other players that are the opposite. That's more like a necessary evil. They love the role play, the improv, and stuff like that. And that is the other thing. And we have to acknowledge that players have different desires, and we are all somewhere on that spectrum. And we have to acknowledge that for some players, they love the rules aspect of it, and we need to give some players more room to indulge themselves in this stuff, and other players much less so. And the same goes with DMs. Yeah.
Great ones. Now I'm going to throw one out here to everyone. I want you to tell us an instance that you were proud of something you did as a DM, whether it's slaughter a party or come up with a neat idea. Good, Anna.
I have one from this campaign that is the coolest. I played off a dream, basically an illusion that lasted 2 sessions, and the players didn't. It took 2 sessions. On the 3rd session, they figured out that this was all bullshit, never happened. It was just a dream, and that was it. Then I was they didn't realize that. And afterwards they realized exactly when it started, because there was a save and they all missed the save and it. So that was a lot of fun. I was really proud how that played out, because it was fun, interesting, and it got screwy, and then and also how it ended. They rolled a nat 20 on the will save to figure out that this is actually just a dream. So it ended really well too. So that is something I was really proud of, how well that played out and how much fun we all had.
Nice. Tim, come on, man, you gotta have a good one.
Yeah, I have. I like generating the few times that I've sincerely generated terror. I've really proud of that.
Yeah, I know.
Which happened in college. It happened to you, which was very gratifying. And I think I really liked my granting of title episode of the City State with the "You Came Before the Overlord." I really liked that.
Oh, I love that.
I love that. I like that. I'm not saying I did a good job, but I like that how that all went. And of course, you can't have something like that without having the players, be part of it. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I like that. And scaring you.
Yeah, scared shit out of me. Whipping
so
off.
I had a campaign. It was actually one that I wrapped up over the summer, over last summer. The campaign took place in like multiple story arcs, and they ended up having to return to a location that they had previously had a large battle at, and they found a piece of information on the return, and brought some things together, and they're like, wait, no, nobody remembers, what you're talking about. And it turns out that my girlfriend who's a note taker for the group, went back and realized, going back like through 8 months of gaming, to her early notes, to find out, oh yes, no, this actually indeed happened. We did know about all this stuff. It's like long-term callback for something to bring the story forward. Because the look on their faces was just priceless. I should have screenshotted it.
The only thing that's popping to mind right now, and keep in mind I got a really bad memory. It was one of the charity events. I don't know which one it was. I was running the adventure. All the players were teenage kids. I all gave them magic items that were based off the D&D cartoon characters, whatnot. But
nice.
in the storyline, there was a wizard that went missing. They had to go find him. There's a dragon involved, and there was a cat that was involved. I think it was a cat, and it was a talking intelligence. It was the familiar of the wizard. It was supposed to be, and it was going to be the guide. So I didn't have them bumping around, and they could, stay on track because it was a stream. Well, I had, for whatever reason, I gave it a Russian accent. And as soon as I did that, the chat blew up saying, "The cat's the dragon, the cat's the dragon," because it's got the Russian accent, and they were mistaking Russian accent for drow. I do a bad Australian for my drow because they're from where?
Down under.
Right? And so they were, but that wasn't the game. That wasn't the plan. It was just supposed to be the familiar. So I changed everything right there on the spot. It's like, yeah, it was the dragon. And then I changed the rest of the story to accommodate that. And it was a great game. I guess that shows my on the fly type of gaming DM style.
But hey, that's, and not any two DMs are the same. Correct? They're just not.
That's right.
Not. So for me, and it goes into the question that just got asked by Pat66, how many subplots do you have in your game going on with all, interwoven and all, for any, and for me, it's like 20 plus, right? For me, whenever I finish a long-term campaign plot, it's very gratifying because they usually take a couple years minimum. So when we finished up the Crown of Ruggiero Blood Moon plotline, where Bill's character Salen put the crown on and tried to take over the entire city of Greyhawk, that was just such a fun time, and and that was a 15 to 20 year plotline, going in with all the other stuff going on.
Yeah,
your dad played in that one too.
I can't have my plot lines go that long.
I have a whole bunch. Yesterday morning,
I do have multiples. I have usually at least 10.
Right.
And all of
10.
them are threads, and I'm waiting to see how much they pull at it.
Exactly.
And then it'll build it, and it'll carry it, and it'll of course become more in depth in that way. Then
it's like Robert's
every NPC is an opportunity for a plot line.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those things where I recommend pay attention to which NPCs your players take a interest in. It's a great way to decide if you want engagement. If there's an NPC that they find they gravitate to for whatever reason, there's either your next quest giver or the subject of their next adventure. It's a great way to keep things going.
Or the big bad in the sky.
Or the big bad, possible agents of the big bad. I like to have, story arcs. Unfortunately, I having a story arc going multiple years, many years is not really viable for me. But I do like to have multiple story arcs. And if the major story arc, I might be starting the next one as the first one is going. Just because I have a set number of players, and they might be picking up on things that are going to happen after whatever the current crisis is.
Rob, you got introduced to one of mine yesterday morning.
Mm-hmm.
The guy only appeared for one round and then said "screw you," left, and that's when the bronze golem appeared, and that was the last. It was the portal master. Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So. That's the thing. Keep it rolling. Keep the game going. Good.
Yeah, in a sandbox, it's a little bit different with plot lines because you don't really have plot lines that are organized and laid out long term, so to speak. But what I would rather recognize it as factions. So I have major factions like major villain groups or something. So in my campaign, I use as one of them, for instance, in my campaign right now. And then we have the Shieldlands, one of the good ones. That's another faction. And we have Dragotha is another faction that going in. And then we have, but you also have sub factions and things that end up in between. We have Glushnag in Gensal. He's one of IU's top warlords in the area, but he's not on good terms with IUs anymore. So all of a sudden he becomes like a subplot, and what he will do, and I don't even know, and it's both up to the characters and the roll of the dice and so on. So there are things, but so it's basically main factions and what they're up to, and they're different underlings that can do things. That then the underlings are the lieutenants and the little local thugs or the whatever the mayor of a town or something like that. Then they can go off roguish and do things and it's up to what the characters. They affect everything around them, and the more powerful they are in levels, the more they tend to affect things, and it gets ripple effects, so to speak. So. Yeah.
To that point, I mean, with me, it's more of the bad guys have plans. They have things that they want to do, and these things are going to happen. Where and when the PCs decide to engage, or if they decide to engage, mostly leave that up to them. Because again, running sandbox. Interesting thing, the Friday night game. I've talked about the fact that they're currently in the Temple of Elemental Evil. The reason that they're currently in the Temple of Elemental Evil is to run away from the consequences of one of their previous adventures, where they unwittingly unleashed an army of undead that's growing in the Bright Desert, that they're going to have to come back some point and face those consequences, because they decided that, we're not going to really tell anybody what really happened down there, and we're going to go.
It's no big deal.
It's still going to be there when they're done. But yeah, there's going to be some serious consequences.
Jeff, to start, yes. Don't go crazy. Don't go crazy with what 20 plot lines. I agree.
Right, because you can develop these plot lines and just have them kind of bump into little bits of it here and there because they don't know. Just like today, there's all sorts of things that happen for various criminal and government agencies and stuff, and we don't know. But you might bump into something you see,
Tim's
so
great.
Later they can find out about.
You're great for putting us off on tangents all the time in City State. Get pulled off and to this, to that, and it's like but that's cool.
Yeah, and you don't need to end them. You just need to start them, and then after, because you don't need to figure out the end of something in the beginning. Or you can just work with it, and 6 months later, 10 sessions later, that's how it should be. And the players will often help you when they meta game. They will tell you how things are connected, and then you can take those ideas if you like them or discard them. Cherry pick the ideas, but make sure you don't use what the players feed you right away up in the face of them, so to speak, because then they will stop doing it, and that will not be fun. But if they say that person is probably connected here, and what if, and so on and so forth, make a little bit of that being true, or use it and twist it a bit. Because then the players say, we knew it, and you hadn't even decided it when they said it. So
So, great points, everyone. So I got another question for the group, and I'm going to tie that into what Patrick said. And then Gitano's to tie it up. I know. Will, you have a game tonight? You have a hard stop? Oh, okay, good. That's good to hear. All right. So, what would you suggest for a brand new DM? And we'll tie this into Patrick's. DMs assist books like the Lazy DM could use them for character generation. Because I've kind of taken it away from all my special groups. I create the character. That way I control the stats. Now, they do the background, they do the names and all, but myself now, for all my new special groups, not my players, but I create the characters' stat generations. What suggestions you would make for new players, new DMs for a brand new group? Or would you use any assist books?
Well, there's a whole mess of stuff online that you can use.
Right.
So it's what's the best assist book for a new DM? Is that the question?
No, yeah, and character generate. How are you going to make? How as a new DM should you make up the characters? I like control. I'm a control freak.
Well,
right, Tim?
I don't know. It depends. I say you could make characters for one shots, or for like how you're doing it with your specials and stuff, Jay, because you're streaming it and all that. You need control, that sort of stuff, because it helps with keeping everything in line. That I understand. As far as the for long-term home campaigns, let them make the characters, man. Let them. I mean, because your investment in your character starts early. And I'm a big I think that they should make multiple characters at the beginning. Just make them put them over
the DCC version, and then you weed out which ones are the survivors, or
you don't have to play them all at once, but have them make multiple characters out the gate.
Yeah, we do. We do that all the time in our groups, 2-3 characters per.
So that would be my recommendation with that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For back in the day when all the games were in person, we tend to roll up our characters together. Have the group get together. This way they could ask any questions that they needed to know. Now we got Discord and everything else. If it's for a campaign, I'm letting my players roll up their own characters, but usually there are conversations going on. Well, what do you want to play? Well, what do you want to play? And then they'll figure out what the group needs, and I tell them it's like, you don't necessarily need to be a balanced group. We'll figure it out, but have those discussions ahead of time. Let them roll. Now for one shots I tend to do pre-gens. It seems to work well. I'll let if a player absolutely wants to roll up their own character, they can do that. But I tend to do one pre-gens for one shots. But if you have the time, either do it as part of a session 0, if you want. Some people like to do it that way while you're going over stuff, or have them discuss ahead of time how what it is they need, because they're also going to be kind of reliant on you to let them know what kind of game you're running, because certain character classes may not fit certain game styles. If yours is a game that's heavy on intrigue and stuff, playing a paladin is probably not the best of ideas. So
yeah, exactly.
Those discussions.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm leaning more and more towards pre-gens. But
Really?
I also think both Will and Robert, I think you're spot on. A long-term campaign, especially when you start at like 0-1 first level, then rolling up characters is good, so to speak. But if you want to have a campaign where the characters should fit into a story, have some experience and stuff, make up pre-gens. That's my advice. And also in this day and age where people have less time and you don't, especially if you play online and stuff. I think it's, for me now, when I'm playing in various other people's game here and there and so on, I love to have a pre-gen, but it will also make you more pre-gens than you have players. So players have options to choose from, and also say to them, if you want to change something, please tell me and we can fix it, we can work around it. So it should not be clad in stone, that's it. But I think it's good you can set the tone and the limits and also give them cool options, especially if you have newbie players. But I think if you have really newbie players, to have the experience of creating your character is a vital part of the game. So you should definitely give new players a chance to roll up their characters and make all the options or make the decisions and stuff. But pre-gens is becoming more and more favorable for me.
Tim, what are your thoughts?
If doing a campaign from start, I like to have them roll. I had a lot of fun doing the session 0 for the underdogs. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't pre-gen, but I had pre-gen class selection, and it was a large variety. That way they could fit in culturally to the group, but everyone got a chance to roll those. Even people that added on a little bit later, they still had to do the same process. And that was fun. I like that. But if I was going to do a one-shot, well, the reverse dungeon was initially started as a one-shot. It just was too fun to leave it once. But I had done the the goblins variety, and
3-skin lives for now.
Right, 3-skin is the only one who survived, and you met all your goals, almost all of them.
Almost.
I have come to learn that nothing is a one-shot in my game anymore, because all the groups come back. Now, this is one of the characters from Nerdy Guide, Bree. She's the one that wasn't on. All this was done over talking. No, she didn't roll up her stats. I have assigned her stats. She's a halfling guardian. This is an example of the character sheet. Character portrait done, all the abilities, all the weapon proficiencies, special abilities, gear on the back. I don't do base gear for these and stuff. Spells. This is my style. That's the way I do it. I would rather do it this way. That way I have control over what. That's wrong. I have control over what's going on than the other way. But that's just, I let my guys, when we do new groups, they do all the rolling up themselves and all. So it's just a preference, because you got players that they don't know what they're, I'm playing old school 1E2. I'm not playing 5th, right? So it's a little different. If that makes sense.
It's 1.J, right?
Yes, yeah. According to Anna. I don't want to say that myself. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it really is. You have the.
Now,
trademark
that. Curtis.
Yeah, my game will be 5.0 now.
Yes. Let's.
I play 1/2-Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do.
I got all my CNC going.
Yeah.
We all, like I said, no 2 DMs are like new 2 DM, and hopefully everyone out there understands that this discussion is for all editions, right? This is not an edition word discussion at all.
Yep.
No.
So, Gaetano asked the most poignant question of all, which I think will help new DMs. What does DMing mean to you? Why do you do it? So
that's a great question.
It is, and that's when I figured we finish this discussion with, because this may take a little while. So, who wants to go first with that?
I kind of a fairly easy answer to that. That there's my main reason is that I love world building and mapping so much, so it gives me a real reason to do it. To be honest, that's one of the main reasons, because world building is map making is something that's my first love. World building my second, playing D&D third when it comes to it, so to speak. So it's kind of, but it gives me a reason to do it, and a way to check that what I do actually is useful for something. So that is where DMing comes in. And it's also wonderful just to hang out with people and see that people actually want to come and play again in my games. That gives me some satisfaction. That is kind of, wow, they like to play with me. They come back and want to do it again. Yeah.
Excellent. Who else?
I do it because I love performing.
I think great point. Yep.
I'm an old thespian at heart. I'm not some pro voice actor or any of this different stuff. I'm a through and through D&D player, but I enjoy performing. I enjoy performance. The reason I started streaming was because I enjoyed the aspect of putting on the show. And when I get to have that live interaction between the players and bounce back and have it, that live action changing script and story, that's really cool. I really dig that.
So for me, mine has shifted over the years, and when it first started, I was the DM because, well, if I didn't DM, there wasn't going to be a game, and I really wanted to play this game, and it was a lot of fun. There was a point where I was DMing more because I liked telling the stories, coming up with all these ideas. But now it's more about I DM because I love watching my players' characters come to life and giving them that platform to do the things. I want to see what they're going to do when they, it's not, well, what can I do with this monster against them? It's what can they do to this monster? How creative are they going to be? What are they going to do when I put them for this particular situation? I want to see their characters grow. I want to see, how they work together, where they take the story. Because again, I if I'm not running a, specific module, it is almost completely sandbox after that. So they can go where they want to go. And I want to see the choices they make and their reactions when I throw things at them. And, it's just, it feels good watching them, watching their characters come to life.
Cool. I like it. Tim.
I like it because it's fun. I like it. It's a creative outlet. It's where storytelling, and it's kind of a performance art. I agree with Will, and that's fun too. And it's also a game, so there's a gaming element, and that's fun. And it's a chance that you build rapport that's greater than average for most other activities. In the world of imagination, overcoming things together and accomplishing things together. And so that's all the nexus of why that's kind of fun. Plus, I tend to run a game that's done the way I would like. I'd like to be a player in it too. It's an idea or a story that I also would like to be doing. So that's kind of one of those things.
That last bit is, for me, is spot on. My number one thing when I'm trying to figure out what my DMing style is I want to be in a game that I'd like to play in.
Absolutely. It's kind of evolved for me. I've loved playing with all my friends, and like we still sit around and talk, just like with Tim and I were tonight. We're talking stories that happened 40 years ago. Right? I mean, it's like, wow, that's so incredible that we can just pick up what happened in Highport all those years ago.
It was real in some sense.
It is.
Yeah.
Technically, it is, because it's part of the campaign lore.
Yep.
From that, go ahead, Tim.
The collaborative creativity of the story and both everyone acting parts. Yeah.
Yeah. and stuff that we can't talk about on screen, like the bee, right? And what happened there with her. We can't talk about those things on screen on channel because we can't use those words or that graphic moral dilemma stuff.
Right.
But
and that restaurant, the neutered something.
yeah. There's a lot of them we can't talk about anymore. But what I can say is that the stories have evolved to a point where it's gotten so that I was happy that I found this community, right? 5 years ago. I mean, almost starting like May 1st. It's like it's tomorrow, May 1st. I think it was May 6th. It'll be 5 years of streaming, and I love that I was able to bring, as a DM, bring it all to all of you, to the community, to Anna. Doing stuff collaborative with Anna, with my friends still, and then it going the next step. And just, I mean, who would have ever thought I'd be DMing every 2 months for Ed Greenwood and all these other great people. It's just wonderful. I love the community, and that I want to continue to bring content to the community, and of course the friends, and I consider everyone here a friend. And just, does that make sense? I know it's on a grand scale, but
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
I totally
cool.
agree. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So one last quick question there. Patrick said about morals and ethics, and you have to have morality in the game, or you don't have a game, just like real life, right? We're not all playing evil characters, but anyone want to handle that moral stuff, moral and ethics?
I think it's kind of it's a difficult analogy, but I think it's still a valid one. Is that it's a bit like when you have sex with others, meaning it's both, if everybody involved are perfectly comfortable with everything that happens, then it's okay, so to speak. And but it's really hard sometimes to achieve that. But the way I try to do it, meaning my games, I take up a lot of horrible stuff in my games, meaning there's like killings, there's torture, there's slavery, a lot of these horrible topics that are in the games. But I don't try to what I shy away from is I don't describe details of horrible stuff. I hint at it, so to speak. That's one of the things, but I don't shy away from it. And the other thing is that evil things in my world do evil, horrible, despicable things. That's part of the story. But I try to not gorge myself in details. I hint at it enough that the players get what I'm hinting at, and I try to stay there, so to speak. But it's a balancing act, and I think it's simply up to what the players like and what you as a DM like, because I painted myself in a corner. Started when the war in Ukraine started, I wanted to have an IU assault on a village or a town, and I had to call that session off because I felt that's not appropriate. I don't want to play this. So I kind of painted myself in a corner too. But I think it's important to have a dialogue and to listen and see with your players. But you also you should not shy away from dramatic topics, because that's part of drama. Look at films, TVs, theater, they all depict this.
True. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's in my home games. That is well, I shouldn't say just in my home games, because if you go back and watch any of the old streams, it's all chock-a-block full of it. I constantly have the moral dilemma. Yeah. Everything is the moral dilemma. If whenever if you go and you read any of my adventures, there's always a moral dilemma that's involved. There's if the world is painted in nothing but shades of gray, because I want the tough decisions there, because it gives it gives weight to everything. So yeah, that's 100%. I do that.
Like,
and keep on the Borderlands. Yeah.
But and it gives. Oh, sorry.
No, but the thing is like, it instantly makes something more memorable, more meaningful, has more. It's a lot of fun going and killing monsters to take their treasure. It's a whole nother thing when you got to go kill those monsters to take the treasure, because you got to raise enough money so the village can pay the taxes, so that the Baron doesn't come down and take away all of their livestock and they starve in the winter. or maybe you don't.
Mhm.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
And we want the characters to be heroes and the players to play heroes, and that means that they need to have an opposition. They need to,
100%.
so that is also part of doing good deeds, and you should feel like, damn, we accomplished something. Meaning we can often feel powerless in the real world and stuff, but in our games, in our campaigns, there we can have real power. We can vanquish. We can do the deeds that we can never do in real life and stuff. And that is part of why I like to run games too, is to myself, I can create a world and we can all play in it and we can do things right, so to speak. And that feels good. Yeah.
I look at it like a T-ball game. You know, T-ball, where they have the little thing and you just put the ball on there. There's no pitch and the kid comes up so that he can hit it. That's me. I'm the T-ball stand. And then I put the ball up there and just let the players go on,
and you have to be aware so you save your head, so to speak. So that's a great one.
You know, one thing, you know, to increase the buy-in or increase the enjoyment of it, you know, consequences, the word consequences almost has like a negative connotation to it because you think of bad consequences. There are good consequences of things that characters make sure that you whatever it is they do, show how it affects the world. You know, the village gets to eat for another winter. You know, and you want to do it for good and bad, because you don't want it to be like, well, okay, you know, we did something we shouldn't have done, or well, now we're being punished, and this is the only time that we ever see the effect is when we're being punished. The good things are, it's important, like I mentioned, celebrating, but show how they impacted the world. And the world can be just the village. It doesn't have to impact anything else, but just the village that they're in.
Excellent. Hopefully everyone enjoyed this discussion. We can always do more of these coming up. So, and this is, like I said, a Tom idea. So kudos to Tom.
Yeah.
For coming up with the topic tonight. So, let's do some quick shout outs, and we'll do we'll do the giveaways, and then we will get moving on with some other fun things. What's coming up for the next couple weeks? Rob, what would you like to shout out?
So tomorrow night I'll be on Roll for Perception in playing some Pathfinder 2E. You know, ongoing Outlaws of Alkenstar campaign. We're getting near the end of the adventure path. I think we're entering the final chapter. It's a level 1 through 10 adventure path. So the story's taken, well, the characters have taken a bit of a dark turn. We've had some tragedy, and we've decided that we've had enough and we're not going to take it anymore. So coming up on Wednesday, I'll be co-hosting as normal Blue Box RPG, Lord Masters Arcanum, where we will be discussing Beholders. And that should be a very fun discussion. And of course, my Friday night game, if you're ever in the mood to listen in or interested in playing, Blue Box RPG Discord, Friday Night Crusades, 8 p.m. Eastern. They are in the middle of the Temple of Elemental Evil, and they may or may not be in trouble, as always.
Also, please note Blue Box is starting his Dark Sun / Greyhawk Sea of Dust campaign on Tuesday, right? 16th.
Yes. That starts this Tuesday. And that should be a lot of fun. There's been so much work by the players in prepping for that. So interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, hopefully the Pinkertons don't show up at Rob's house. Just kidding. Yeah, oh my gosh, how crazy is that?
Yep.
Nuts. Will, what's going on?
Well, I just the PDF version of Echoes of a Dark Past just came out. It's on drive-through. The print version of it is in the works right now as we speak, literally. I have got somebody working diligently on that.
PDFs of that given away tonight.
And then let's see. There, I put the thing in the chat.
Cool.
I'm working on my Patreon page, and I just put up, because some people know that I draw and I do artwork and whatnot, and I take a lot of that art and I turn it into t-shirts. So now I'm asking the community, hey, you guys should vote. Let me know what you'd like to see me do to put onto the next t-shirt. So I got that going on.
Nice.
I'm So now with Echoes being wrapped up, I'm full-time turning my writing towards my Chuck project. So with Chuck Combo. So I'm gonna finish that up. And then I also have, because Echoes of a Dark Past is the first in the World of Greymore series. And I'm working on the Greymore Gazetteer. And the reason I'm doing that, I'm going to work on that, and then it's going to be released for free out to the public. Basically, if anybody ever wants to do something and produce something, you could use it for free.
Right.
And it already has it in there. And it's like a go-to guide. So if you make something and you publish it, then and you use it, people can just go to that and go, oh, this means that. And this means that.
Right.
And
it's a conversion chart, PB.
It's a conversion chart. So I'm working on that too. So that's pretty much, those are the things that I currently have. I've got like a number of other projects, but they're in the formulation process and getting together. Those are the ones that I'm working on currently as far as on the front of the stove.
Fantastic, dude. And thank you for coming on as well.
Yeah, man. It's always fun.
Anna.
Okay, I need to shout out again that my friend Owen Casey Stevens, he's fighting severe health issues, so I'm going to put a couple of links to his bundles to help him pay with medical bills and stuff. He's an awesome DM, and he's one of the best storytellers I've ever heard. He's like a 15th level bard when it comes to tell cool stories. So I'm going to put the links to his on Drive-Thru RPG, really good bundles that a lot of companies have put together with tons of their products that you can purchase these PDF bundles, and the proceeds will go to help. Yeah, that will go and help Owen Casey Stevens with his medical bills. So I just wanted to say that first. He's an awesome guy and a fantastic storyteller. So I really wish him well. And apart from that, now we had a game session today, and my campaign, there will be 2 more game sessions before there will be a hiatus for a month when I'm going over to Europe. And so, but apart from that, right now I'm working on a whole bunch of stuff that is before Altamira, my Shieldland stuff, and I'm working for Blue Box is ramping up a map for his Greyhawk Awakening campaign and stuff. So but I'll try and make some smaller posts both about my on my house rules and see if I can squeeze some heraldry and stuff in there. So there will be a couple of smaller posts coming up soon, and then there will be some bigger ones when I have the first GIS maps and stuff coming soon, because that's another project. But I will take with my laptop with me and hook up, so I will do a lot of photoshopping and stuff while I'm over in Europe, so in Sweden. So when I don't have my big machine, I can remote into it, so that will save a little bit, but on the time. So I'm trying to wrap up a lot of things before I leave. It's 5 weeks now, so I'm starting to count down.
Counting down the time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, Anna, thanks. And we got a big announcement for Wednesday, which we'll get to in a second here.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Tim, always mysterious.
Yeah, I don't have anything going on. Everyone's very prolific. I'm, we have a number of things going on, and
well, you need to tell me if you're going to be here on the 13th coming up, and we'll show you that in a second. So May 13th. But
I have to look at the calendar.
You'll have to. It's a Saturday. We'll see. I'll show you in a second here. All right. Well, Tim, thanks.
Yeah, of course. I haven't set dates yet for the next Underdogs, the next City State, and the next Reverse Dungeon.
You need to get some stuff cranking, man. So that's okay. I know how we're all super busy here, with life. Wednesday night's the 200th Legends and Lore.
Yeah.
So we'll probably do a best stuff from 101 to 200 and just talk about things. I'm really excited about it. Myself, Anna, and Mike. Maybe we'll have a guest on or two. But that is Wednesday. This week, my son has he was nominated for an award. So there's no Thursday night game this week because it is Thursday night at his school. So I'm only Wednesday Sunday next week. My gosh, woo! No more 4 streams a week for coming up this week. Just only 2 coming up because of that. Plus, this is his birthday. this is his birthday, so we were celebrating his birthday this weekend. So that is, and I'm not sure what the Gabbin topic is for next week, but that's it for this week as far as topics. On the 13th, a BattleTech game, Saturday evening, 5 p.m. Don't read the contract is the name of the Avenger. There you go. So my wife's away. It's Mother's Day weekend, and she's away with her friends, so my son's playing. We're playing on a BattleTech game on a Saturday night to have fun. So Rob's in and invited Patrick, Canadian Ancient Gamer, Balfrin, trying to get the crew back together for that one. So Tim, there you go. For you, you're more than welcome, you and your son, to play in that one if you can. All right, that's Saturday, May 13th. I may have a D&D game that morning as well, because I'm a glutton for punishment. On the 20th, Nerdy Guide to D&D game got pushed back to Saturday, May 20th, 9 a.m. They're all the UKers, so that got pushed back to that this week. So, hey, that's easy to do. And then lastly, another monster, Saturday, June 10th, crossover 2-drink minimum / Slav Squad game. Anna's going to be in Sweden. She's going to miss it. Sorry.
She could be in Sweden though.
I can maybe hook up like 10 o'clock or like 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. That it's 6 hours, so it's 6 p.m. That means that it's midnight. So that might work.
And it's gonna
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But it looks like you have such a cool lineup there anyway. So yeah.
From 2-drink minimum, yes.
You should call it 2 Slav squats minimum.
Oh,
well, that's up to them because it'll be it'll be the two groups are competing for leadership there. Ed, Eric, and Eric from the 2-drink minimum, Mandy, Myriad, Bones, and Darling from the Slav Squad, all confirmed. So, and then after that, I am away on family vacation so there won't be anything weekends up into through the rest of the month. This will be the last special event for a game for a bit as I go down to Florida for a week and a half. All right, so that's what's going on. Let's do the giveaways. Biggest one, Best of Dragon Volume 3, 2 PDFs from Will's Adventure, and 1 full hard copy from Raven's Rook. Are the 4 giveaways tonight. I will need you to whisper to Will. Put it in chat, Will, your thing, so they can see. Whisper Will when you win, so he can send you the code for drive-through for ordering. So I always push the right button there, Garn. I don't know what you're talking about.
Whisper.
All right. Thank you very much for the compliments out there. Really appreciate it.
I'm Giant Stomp 01, guys.
Giant Stomp 01. Yes, there he is.
That's me.
Giant
and
Stomp.
put in your message when you send it to me which one you got.
Yes.
Just so that I can keep trying.
Adventure PDF or Raven's Rook hard copy. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. I'm going to close this out. First person, I'm assuming is going to want the Best of Dragon Volume 3, which I will send. It's right here. Okay, and this was redonated by Troy, who won it last week because he already had one. Thank you, Troy. As to celebrate our 10,000th adventure. 10,000th follower. This is me. 1,000th adventure is June 3rd, by the way, coming. That's an all-day event starting at 9 a.m. Saturday, and we're going to play 8 hours. Mm-hmm. And it's against the Cold of the Reptile God. No, it's not. What am I saying? It's Tomb of the Lizard King we're running. My God.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Giveaways. Here we go. Got to close this out. First winner. Lomas Lightfoot. Lomas, do you want the Best of Dragon Volume 3? Let me know. Lomas, let me make sure you are still on, I see. Lomas, let me know. Oh, all right.
Yep.
Lomas, do you want the Raven's Rook hard copy or a PDF of Will's game? You tell us. Okay? Tell us what you want then. All right? You're going to get them as well. You can have Will's Raven's Rook card back or a PDF of his new adventure. Okay? You tell us, please. Next winner. Scottish Jeff.
Wow.
Okay, Raven's Rook, Lomas, Whisper, Giant Stomp. Put it in again, Will, just to make sure.
Yeah.
Whisper,
I'll put it in.
Lomas, Whisper, Giant Stomp, the Raven's Rook, and your email address. Jeff, I think you want this, don't you? Right? I'm assuming you want this, Jeff. You were talking about how much you want this, and so you got it. Yep, you got it. Good job that you got it. Next winner. Calstaff, do you want one of the 2 PDFs from Will's new adventure? All right. And also Cave Geek Arc. There you go. Kafir.
Nice.
Grats. All right, so Cow Staff Whisper, Giant Stomp, you get that, and Cave Geek Art, Kafir as well. Please do that. And we're going to raid into Darling. We normally do on Sundays. She's got a game going on. Thank you all for what a wonderful discussion. We'll have others. We'll try and go into other topics, a little bit maybe here and there. These are good fillers when I don't have guests. And we always have good fillers on, but I got some things in the work. I'm hoping to have a guest for next Sunday. It hasn't fallen into place yet. We're really looking forward to having some of these on. So, thank you, Curtis, and thank you all. We're hopefully reach out anytime to anyone, any of us, if you have any questions, specifics. We'd be more than happy to help you out. And see you soon. Have a great night. Yay.
Bye.
Let me see here. Wrong button coming. Remember, only Wednesday and Sunday this week for stream-wise, so I'll be a little minorly scarce, but not too much. Rating it. They got their D&D game going on now, so you'll be able to watch that.
Nice.
Yep. Like I said, a lot of great content coming up for everyone in the community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone have a good Sunday. See ya. Okay. Sure is whenever we're good.
Yay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Went over 82. They're good numbers.
Definitely. All right, let me shut this off.